Okay, looking ahead to the Southampton game, there's a few potential fitness doubts going into this one. Van Dijk, we don't really have too much of an update other than he was released early from Netherlands duty on medical grounds to be assessed at the AXA training centre. Trent is obviously a bit of a doubt as well, having pulled out of England duty, having limped off against Aston Villa just before the break. And Alisson has obviously been out for a while. There was talk about coming back after the November break. This Southampton game might come a bit too soon. I don't think it's a game Arne Slot, considering what's coming up after Southampton, he's not going to take too many risks with any of those key players, is he?
No, absolutely not. I think that's the one thing you can confidently say. If there's even a slight doubt around someone like Trent that you might be pushing him a little bit early, just leave him out of this one. Use Conor Bradley, who's in great form. And, similarly with Alisson, when you've got Kelleher playing the way he is. I think with Van Dijk, the one thing I would say is I think Ronald Koeman kind of gave the game away, that this was kind of an agreed withdrawal rather than any kind of real injury concern. So I would be hopeful that he would be fit and ready for this one. And, I think you've got to think that Liverpool can't get carried away about this is the easy one, and then we've got the two big ones as well, because this is, it's a vital game. I mean, you win this and it gives you a chance to go 8 points clear of Manchester City if they don't drop points already against Tottenham when the two sides meet. So I think it's, it's a really important game. And as I say, he won't take risks, but I also don't think it'll be wholesale rotation or anything like that we'll see for this one. So yeah, I'm quite optimistic that Van Dijk will be in the starting lineup. I think with Trent, you always have to be careful with hamstring injuries, but we'll kind of see how that plays out. And I think if he's not in the starting lineup for this one, he'll definitely be back in for the Real Madrid and Manchester City games as well. So, or hopefully so anyway. So yeah, I don't think Liverpool are in too bad a position, and they are starting to get players back now, and it's been kind of an underrated element of their start when you see how Arsenal have coped with their injuries in City, that Liverpool have had big injuries of their own and they've coped with them very well so far. But it's always good to get players back and big players, which is what they're getting back. So hopefully a fully fit squad in the next sort of couple of weeks or so. And it's really good timing because you've got some massive tests coming up.
Yeah, I mean, you touched just then on the peril of this match, this Southampton match in particular, probably lies a bit in the fact of what's coming after it in terms of, I think everyone's going to be looking at this game. Okay, it's top of the league versus bottom of the league. Southampton have only won once all season, 9 defeats from 11 league games, worst attack in the league, only won once all season, 4 points. Everyone's going to look at this and expect a comfortable Liverpool win. I think, we would expect a comfortable Liverpool win. The only way Liverpool could maybe ask for an easier test coming back after the international break is if it was at Anfield. But at the same time, within that, there's inherent risk, isn't there? Because, and it is heightened by what's coming next. You've got Real Madrid, then Man City. There is that risk of taking your eye off the ball. And if you do that in the Premier League, you can be stung. So yeah, it is a game everyone will be expecting Liverpool to win, but there is that risk there, and Liverpool need to be fully focused on this game and not next week.
Yeah, and we've seen as well that, coming back from international breaks, you might not be playing at your best. You might not be sharp. I mean, the lads who are in the internationals in South America are only playing kind of tonight, I guess. So that's, they've got a really tight turnaround for someone like Darwin Núñez or Alexis McAllister. So that's really kind of tough for them. It makes you a little bit, the bit of weariness in the legs. And you think of someone like Núñez is probably going to have to play if you've no Jota, which we probably don't expect him to be ready for this one. So it's, that can make it tougher. And I think Southampton only got beat 1-0 by Manchester City as well earlier this season. So, on paper, they're not very good, as you say, or you list off those statistics about them. But honestly, if you go into any Premier League game and you kind of take it for granted and you think it's going to be straightforward, that's the first step towards a kind of slip up. So Liverpool got to take this seriously. And as I say, it's about sort of setting themselves up and making that Manchester City game. It would take the pressure off them massively. It would be all opportunity really rather than downside, because Manchester City at that game at Anfield would not be able to leapfrog Liverpool. And Liverpool would have this chance to go 8 points clear of them even at this early stage. That would be massive. So it would feel a little bit actually like the Manchester City game when they played in the early parts of the 1920 season when Liverpool won the title. and Liverpool beat them to go 8 points clear, didn't they? Having beat Aston Villa coming from 1-0 down to win 2-1 the week before, and that set them up to go 8 points clear in that game, and they did it, and they didn't look back from there. So, you know, the parallels are kind of there, but you have to do your job in the game before, and that's why this Southampton one is so important.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, we're dealing in hypotheticals now, but especially when you look at what City and Arsenal have got this weekend as well. City against Tottenham, and we know they've struggled against them. Arsenal, you'd expect them to beat Forest at home, but you would have expected Liverpool to beat Forest at home. Forest have been brilliant away from home. It's only Liverpool who have picked up more away points than Forest this season. So that's a banana skin for Arsenal, especially considering their form before the break as well. So, yeah, picking up a win in a game like this, which can often be taken for granted, considering what they've got as well, is, you know, even more important, isn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, I didn't even factor in the Arsenal thing. I mean, I'm practically writing them off here, aren't I? When saying that they're 9 points behind, and I think they're done. But I do think they've got it in them to get on a little run now, because they're getting players back, and you know, maybe we've seen kind of the worst of them in this part of the season, and they're ready to kind of get their heads down and get cracking some wins off. So, but that is a tough one, as you say. Nottingham Forest brilliant on the road, so that could be a really, really tricky one for them. And I mean, Liverpool fans surely dare not dream of the idea that for 3 weekends on the bounce, Arsenal and Manchester City would drop points. But looking at the fixtures, it's very much a possibility. And the important thing, and it's the thing that Liverpool have done the last couple of times it's happened, is to win your game, is to make sure that you capitalise on those slip ups. So they've got one job this weekend, and it's to go into that Southampton game and get it won.